how do we release negative emotions? How do we get rid of just feeling awful, whether that's angry or negative about ourselves or rageful or sad or depressed or jealous or any of these feelings that we just don't enjoy feeling because they're not pleasurable and they create pain for us? How do we get rid of those? Well, the first thing I want to talk about today is create a distinction between negative and low frequency. There are no real positive and negative emotions when you really look at them. They just come in terms of frequency. So let me create a quick metaphor for you. When water is vibrating at a very low frequency, it turns into ice, right? Like the water molecules, I should say, not water itself, H2O. When they're vibrating at a very low frequency, they're dense, they're slowly vibrating, and water turns to ice. When the molecules of water are vibrating at a high frequency, this is like 7th grade physics. I have a physics degree, but you might remember this from earlier in your days of school, is that when water molecules are vibrating at a high level, a high frequency, it turns to steam. They're vibrating very quickly. So emotions are similar. When they're vibrating at a low frequency, they are dense, they are stuck, they're hard to move. And when emotions are at a high frequency, they are lighter, they're more spacious. And high frequency emotions are like joy, bliss, happiness, laughter. And low frequency emotions are the ones I mentioned earlier, like anger, rage, jealousy. You get more contracted with them as well, right? So it's just low frequency and high frequency. It's not good or bad. Now, the effect doesn't feel good of low frequency emotions, right? And the effect of high frequency emotions feels good. But if we create the distinction that one's not bad and one's not good, then that frees us up to do some work with our emotional world here, okay? All this to say, when we are working with those lower frequency emotions, they are teaching us something, just like the high frequency emotions are. That's why there's not a bad or a good, is that all emotions serve us on some level or we wouldn't experience them. Typically, at the source of why we feel and welcome low frequency emotions, it's because they keep us safe somehow. Rage, anger, jealousy, sadness, in some way they've all kept us safe or served us in some capacity. There's a video I recorded you can check out called Everything Serves that goes more into this world of looking at how everything we think or feel serves us on some level. So that could hopefully free you up to not judging the bad emotions or the negative emotions. Because then when we judge the negative feelings that we have, it adds another layer of difficulty to releasing those negative emotions. Because now we've kind of kept them around because we're focusing on them and we don't like that we have them. And we add these layers of judgment and resistance and all this other stuff on top of it, which is unhelpful, all right? So now let's get into it. I want to share with you 4 ways of how you can release these negative emotions. And I think 3 of them are things you've never heard before. I'd be willing to bet. So the first one is, how do you release a negative emotion? You welcome it. It's paradoxical. It doesn't make sense, but it works. And let me explain how. When we welcome a negative emotion, like, again, choose one for yourself that is common for you. Maybe it's negativity, maybe it's anger, maybe it's frustration, maybe it's sadness, maybe it's hopelessness. When we welcome that we're having that emotion, that we're having that experience into our heart, we soften. And just do this right now with any kind of low frequency or challenging emotion that you're feeling. Just welcome it into your heart. And you can even say, yes, I recognize, I accept that I have this anger in me. I have this sadness in me. I have this. It's not who I am. It doesn't define me. It's not how I want to feel per se. And it's an experience I'm having right now. That if you can do this sincerely and surrender into this welcoming experience, you'll soften. And through that softening, the emotion will be able to move. You might get to a more tender aspect to this. You might have more of an understanding around what's causing the emotion for you. And you might even see how you can take some ownership for how this emotion is serving you, how it's creating some kind of a protective layer, or it makes sense given the situation. For me, there are things that are happening in my life almost on a daily basis that I get frustrated or angry about. And for me, in those situations, because I care about the thing or the person, right? And when I acknowledge that I get through that first layer of it, then I can understand like, okay, now is this something I want to continue to feed and continue to create in my life, this frustration or this anger? Do I not want to do something different about it? And every time I want to do something differently about it, right? So the first thing that you can do to release negative emotions is welcome it into your heart, all right? Number 2, I want to teach you a practice that's an ancient yogic technique that I've only seen taught by my spiritual master, Her Holiness Sai Ma, and we call it the centering technique. And here's how you do it. It's very, very simple. And if you practice this multiple times a day for 40 days, you'll be able to center yourself just by thinking, I would choose to be centered. You'll be able to do it with your mind if you do this yoga technique. It'll take about 10 seconds. All right, ready? It's very simple. And again, if you do this many times a day in the restroom or whenever, that you will be able to center yourself and release any of those low frequency emotions by using this technique. All right, here's how you do it. You bring your hands to the center of your chest, and then with an inhale, you raise one hand towards the sky, straightening the arm, and you bring the other hand down towards the navel with the hand pointing straight up. You can see my hand kind of disappears here, and you inhale while doing that. Then you exhale and bring the hands close to the center of your heart again. Then you inhale and bring the hands, one hand up, one hand low towards the navel while inhaling. Exhaling, bringing the hands back towards the center of the chest, and inhaling one more time with the opposite hand going high and the lower hand going towards the navel while inhaling. And then exhaling, bringing the hands to center. You can do this 3 times or as many times as you wish. And when you're done, if you are perceived to energy, and maybe you'll just even tell, you'll feel better. And again, if you do this 5-10 times a day, go to the bathroom, take a break from work, like you don't have to do this in public. Obviously, people are like, what are they doing? They get ready to fight or something, But I've done this, and I do this a lot, and I did it for 40 days back many, many years ago. And now when I just think to be centered, I can be centered in an instant. And this is possible for you. This is a great way to release that low frequency or negative emotion, is becoming centered. Yeah? All right, here's the third technique. The third technique is breath work. Now, there are a lot of different ways that you can breathe. Kapalabhati Pranayam is a great breath work. It's an intense one. I won't teach it in this class. There's Anuloma Viloma, which is more of a relaxing type of breath work that you can release those negative emotions with. And I'm just going to teach you the most simple one I know that will take, again, about 10 to 15 seconds. And if you do this multiple times a day, you will be able to release negative emotions and low frequency emotions very, very quickly. It's called square breathing. You'll inhale for 3 to 5 seconds, hold for 3 to 5 seconds, exhale for 3 to 5 seconds, and hold for 3 to 5 seconds. And you'll keep that rotation going. And you can do this for, I guess if you do the math, you do one rotation, it's about, 3 times 4, 12 to 20 seconds. All right. And if you can do that more than one square, it's even better. All right. Let's just do a round really quick. Okay. So let's inhale for 3 to 5 seconds. Through the nose if you can. Hold at the top for 3 to 5 seconds. Exhale for 3 to 5 seconds. Through the mouth if you like. Hold for 3 to 5 seconds. Inhale through the nose. Hold. Exhale. Hold. Inhale. And exhale. So you can imagine just doing this breathing work and focusing on the breath. It's actually hard to focus on the feelings that we're having because we're so focused on the breath. And this will calm the nervous system and will allow that emotion to calm, to relax, and to be released, okay? And then the fourth practice that I'll give you is pretty out of the box. And a friend, a dear teacher of mine, Norman Elizondo, taught this one to me many years ago, and we worked together working with young people. And it is this. The next time you go to the bathroom and you release something, a number one or a number two, really get inside the act of releasing and feel the release of the urine or the feces. Sorry, I know this is a little gross, but if you do this, you will get the physical sensation of releasing. That's harder to get when you're releasing emotions, but it's the same intent and the same experience. And I started practicing this. It's kind of a fun little, private thing that you can do. But when you do it, it's like, and you might even make that noise if you can, if you're in a private place. And then remember that experience of releasing when you're in the restroom the next time you're wanting to release a negative emotion. And I can assure you it will add a flavor of lightness and a visceral remembrance, if we could say so, the next time that you're wanting to release some of that negative emotion. So let's recap really quick. The first thing that you can do is welcome the emotion. The second thing is using the centering technique that I just taught you. The third thing you can do is some breathing, and the square breath work is what I just taught you. And the fourth one, and kind of surprising, but it works if you try it, is practice releasing. You've got this. I'm with you. And all my best.